Hi friends, it's Gwen. Welcome back to my channel. I'm here to do another reading vlog. This is going to be a themed reading vlog in which I am reading 4 music related books. So these are the books that I mentioned in my February TBR that all have like a musical element to them. So we have The Final Revival of Opal and Nev by Donnie Walton. This is about a rock band that was together and now they're possibly gonna have a revival, and it's told in interview format, and there's also a journalist that's getting the story. So looking forward to this one. It was one of my most anticipated books last year, so I really need to read it. I also have 𝒑𝒐𝒅𝒏𝒒𝒄𝒂𝒔's new book, Heard It in a Love Song. And this is about a main character who used to be a famous singer, a lead singer in a band. So the main character used to be a singer, so we'll see about that. The next one is The Songbook of Benny Lament by Amy Harmon. I mean, I love this cover. Don't know too much about this one, except for it's set in New York in the 60s, and Benny Lament music is his entire life. And there is Esther, a petite powerhouse with a gorgeous voice. And then we have Mary Jane by Jessica Anya Blau. And again, I love this cover. It's set in like the 60s or the 70s. Yeah, 1970s Baltimore. And it says Almost Famous meets Daisy Jones and the Six. And those are literally 2 of my favorite things in the world. So I'm really excited about this one. This was actually put on my radar because of Jacqueline, and she has read it. And she says that the musical bit isn't like a huge part of the story. It's more of like a coming of age story. I'm having issues finding audiobooks for any of these books. That's why it's taken me this long, to be completely honest, and that is also why it's been one of my goals for this year to not avoid books that don't have audiobooks. I'm hosting my very first reading sprint on my channel tonight, and I thought I'm gonna start with one of these. I better go ahead and open up the vlog. So here we are. I'm gonna look, see which audiobooks are available, and then I will update you with my thoughts as we get started on this musical themed reading vlog. I looked them up and literally none of them are available on Libby or Hoopla. Though some of them are available on Scribd. The only problem with Scribd is that on iPhones, like Apple products, the speed only goes up to 2% speed, and I physically read faster than that, so that doesn't really help me. Although if it helps you, I have a link in the description box that gets you 60 days free, but also they're doing a 30-day free trial for everyone right now. I don't know, Scribd is a great company. I just wish I didn't have an iPhone so it would go faster. I don't know if it goes faster on my computer. I should probably look at that because that would be freaking amazing. I did go ahead and start Heard It in a Love Song by 𝒑𝒐𝒅𝒏𝒒𝒄𝒂𝒔 last night when I was doing reading sprints, which was a lot of fun. I got to page 104, but it is beautiful outside today, so I'm about to head outside and read some more, and I will update you with a little bit more of my thoughts as we go forward. Another beautiful day. Here's Charlie. We're doing great. We have our morning chai and we have a crow over there. It's totally gonna interrupt the flow of this update. That's good. Okay. You hear that crow, Charlie? Okay. Down she goes. Okay, so I apologize for not updating you on the halfway mark for Heard It in a Love Song. I actually finished this one yesterday. I pretty much read it physically, and then I did pop in the audiobook on Scribd for a little bit of it, just to kind of break up the book and the reading experience. I got to sit outside yesterday in the sunshine. It was like in the 60s. I had on shorts and a t-shirt, and it was so sunny that I had to wear my sunglasses. There's so many birds right now that I had to wear my sunglasses. And also my Talk Bookish to Me pens came in, and I don't know, yesterday was just, it was the best day I've had in a while, you guys, because I definitely do get like sad, like seasonal depression, but I don't like using that word depression, but seasonal blues. And yesterday just, I really needed that. Anyway, today I have to go to my chiropractor appointment here in a minute, but I wanted to go ahead and tell you my thoughts about this book. Let me tell you what it's about first. So you have two characters. It is dual POV. You have Layla, who used to be a lead singer in a band, and she was also in this 10-year marriage, and he never, the man that she was married to, never put her first. And so now she is divorced, and she is teaching music at an elementary school. And then there is Josh, who is a single dad. He's in the process of getting a divorce from a 20-year marriage, and he has a daughter named Sasha who goes to the school where Layla teaches music. And it is kind of like their romance, but it's also just about a lot about their past relationships and stuff like that. But basically, Layla is responsible, I guess the extracurricular teachers are responsible for morning carpool. And so they always see each other in the mornings, like when he's dropping off Sasha, she sees them and stuff like that. And he's handsome, and Layla's friends are always like rubbing her like, ooh, you should ask him out, you know, that type of thing. But because Sasha is in her class, there's one, I don't know exactly what holiday it was or what the occasion was, but they were going out of town and they needed a sitter for their dog. And Sasha didn't want to put the dog in like a dog kennel or like doggy daycare. So she asked the music teacher, Layla, like, hey, can you watch my dog? And she said, yeah, sure. And then of course the dad found out about it, and he was like, you really don't mind? And she's like, no. So that's kind of how they started becoming more than just like seeing each other at the carpool, you know? So she watched the dog, she would send pictures, like updates for Sasha, and then they just started texting more and more. And what I loved about it is that not only was it dual POV, we got their past relationships and kind of the present, but there was not a miscommunication trope. The adults actually acted like freaking adults. They confronted things head on. They said, hey, what is this relationship? What is this between us? And they talked about it, and they didn't hide anything from each other, and or like hide their feelings or say, oh, I want to tell her this, but I'm not going to tell her this, or you know, whatever. They really did act like adults, and that was refreshing to see. However, the chapters, like I said, it is dual POV, but you have like, okay, for example, this is a Layla chapter, and this is the current day, like what's happening currently in the story. But then there's always these like something that triggers a past memory or something like that. And then this part, this italicized bit, is all like a past, and it goes on. All of this is in the past. All of this is in the past, and then the last little bit is in the present. So in that chapter, we only got like maybe a page of present, because I mean, not even, like this is present, this little bit right here is present, but everything else in the chapter, the bottom here, this whole page, these pages, and this page is all from her past relationship, so with Liam. So it's really a focus on what happened in their past relationships and how that shaped them for relationships moving forward. And I think that's a really cool story to tell, but I just really wanted more from the present, what was happening with her and Josh presently.
By Janina Edwards, Bonnie Turpin, Dennis 𝒑𝒐𝒅𝒄, Andre DeShields, James Langton, Steve West, and gbshortcake with a full cast.
I got the audiobook on Scribd and it is a full cast. So I highly recommend you check out the audiobook on Scribd. I do have a link for Scribd in the description box of my video that gives you 60 days for free. Highly recommend. I'm having a very healthy lunch. I'm kidding. I have vegan chicken nuggets with honey and then waffle fries with barbecue sauce. I have a gist on the story. So kind of how like in The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo, how Evelyn Hugo hires this reporter to write her memoir about her husbands and who she loved and all of that. So Sunny is writing or going to write a book about, she's kind of, it's hard to put into words. So she meets Opal and then Opal's like, oh yeah, you're Jimmy's girl. And she's like, okay. So they talk for a little bit. And then after that event that they're at, she says, oh, you can meet me in LA if you want. So she goes to LA, I guess. And they meet up and they're talking and stuff like that. And then Opal reveals that Nev had broached the idea of a North American reunion tour starting with a headlining show at summer 2016's Durango Festival. But that she hasn't performed live in more than 25 years. She's 66 years old now. Opal was giving it serious thought. And she's like, you wanted me to break this news? And she's like, there's nothing to break yet. But it kind of, they start talking about it and all that. She nodded, squinting. She seemed to be searching my face for something. If I'm gonna go back to music, to me and Nev and your daddy, to do interviews again and whatnot, it just seems like a decent place to start. And so, on that pleasant night in Opal Jewel's garden, I charted in my head the book I would write. The definitive unpacking of the who's, how's, and why's surrounding the riot that killed my father and shot his weird friends and bandmates into our consciousness. I would report it as the last volume in our oral history series, chronicling the origins of rock stars, and I dispense just enough controlled emotion to make it more soluble, more morning show ready. Little did I know that these plants would get waylaid. This end product, with its painful versions of history, both my subjects and my own, is what follows. You might find it at times untamed and unwieldy and find it contains no easy answers. But as I write these words now, embracing the funny, humbling way hindsight works, I promise my fellow Mercurials, which is the group name for Opal and Nev that they gave them, the old cult of fans called themselves the Mercurials. Though in moments it might break your heart, as it surely did mine, this story is the closest I could get to true. Oh, so now it's gonna go back and it's just gonna tell the story, and I'm just like, so like I said, it has different interviews. Like there's a whole bunch of people here on this page. We have Rosemary, Bob, Nev, Virgil, Howie, Opal, Bob. So we have all these different people, but then interspersed throughout all of this, there are editor's notes as well. So I'm just really looking forward to this. It's kind of like The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo mixed with Daisy Jones and the Six. Are you feeling me? Because I'm feeling this. Checking in quickly. I didn't read that much today. I have made it to page 83, chapter 7. and I will update you guys in the morning. Okay, obviously I'm here with an update about the final revival of Opal and Nev by Dawnie Walton. I was super excited about it yesterday. Like, I just thought it was gonna be like everything that I would love. And I'm 82 pages in, which means I did not read any more than I read yesterday. Like, when I went to bed, I just went to bed. I wasn't drawn to pick up and read anymore. I haven't read any this morning, partly because I had an appointment this morning that I went and took care of for my podcast. I'm really excited about a little project that I'm working on. My patrons know about it. My patrons always know about it. But anyway, I don't know. I'm not feeling it. I think I'm going to DNF it because I'm just not getting the same vibes that I got from Daisy Jones and the Six or The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo. And I am listening to it on audio, but then I am also trying to read it physically as well. And it's just the audiobook, even though it is a full cast, which I like. One thing I don't like is that when you have a full cast, you don't need to say the person that's speaking all of the time. And they do, and that's a little annoying. But even despite that, I'm not invested in the story. And I feel like I'm almost wasting my time trying to make my way through this. So I have this one, and I have two more on this musical TBR. So I have Mary Jane, and I also have the Songbook of Benny Lament. And this one I'm kind of waiting until the end because it is the chunkiest. But I don't know, I might try Mary Jane today and see if that pulls me in. If I'm being completely honest, I'm not interested in picking up any of these books right now. I think I'm just in the mood for something completely different, and I don't necessarily know what it is, but I'm going to give this a little bit more of a shot. Nothing much has happened. They have introduced Opal, they have introduced Nev, and how they came to kind of like work together, and that's really it so far. So I'm hoping maybe now that I am introduced to the characters, the actual plot will start picking up and I'll enjoy it a little bit better. Some unfortunate news. I was just sitting here listening to more of the final revival of Opal and Nev. I made it to page 90 and I'm just not feeling it. I don't know, the writing is just not pulling me in. Opal just arrived in New York, and I thought that it would kind of pick up a little bit. And I like some of the characters, like Virgil, that were introduced. But there's just something about the writing that is making it not compulsively readable. And I think I'm going to have to let this one go. I'm so sad because I wanted to love this one so much. I'm very curious about what it says on Goodreads, like what people rated it. It has a 3.89 with 17,000 ratings. 4 stars, 5 stars, 5 stars, 5 stars, 2 stars. 5, 5, 4. Okay, I need to look at that 2-star. So I'm definitely in the minority. This is Kim's review. I'm definitely in the minority here with this opinion, but it is what it is, and I can't pretend that I enjoyed this one when I didn't. The honest truth is that I was bored for most of the story. It was a genuine slog getting through this, especially the second half. The only redeeming feature was the full cast used to narrate the audiobook. The narration was absolutely brilliant and definitely 5 stars, but the story itself, nope, fell very flat for me. And that's how I feel. I feel so bad because the narration is excellent. I decided to switch over to Mary Jane, and I made it to page 57, and so far it's okay. I don't know like the point of the story, and I was contemplating DNFing this one as well. I did go to Goodreads, much like I did The Final Revival of Opal and Nev, and I read some reviews, and I read Lindsay. I actually read this review, and it's quite lengthy, and they ended up rating the story 2 stars, and I was like, I didn't read the entire review because it's just a lot, but from what I read, I was like, okay, I probably won't like this story. And then Crafty Scribbles, Latanya at Crafty Scribbles, she rated it 3 stars and says that it's an example of misplaced marketing. Don't expect anything close to Daisy Jones and the Six, except for the time period. It's a coming of age story about a 14-year-old girl named Mary Jane and her self-discovery amongst hippies, conservative parenting, a rock star, and her nanny charge. Anyway, and she gave it a 2.5 stars, but it like got rounded up to a 3. So I was like, and I trust her reviews. Her reviews are usually like spot on for mine. And I was thinking to DNF, so I flipped through just to kind of like look, and I saw this letter that was written right here towards the end, and I read the letter, and it has me interested to actually continue reading it. So I don't know. I'm either gonna love it or hate it, but I'm gonna continue reading for now. You may not be able to see it in the background, but I am listening to the audiobook of Mary Jane by 𝒍𝒂𝒗𝒆 Blau on my computer. So I just pop in my headphones and listen to that. I'm drinking coffee. I'm almost done with that. Today was a busy day. I woke up, I played Wordle, I did my Bible study, I hung out with my husband some, I made a grocery list, I recorded a podcast episode with 𝒎𝒂𝒃. That was so much fun. We did a bookish this or that, and it's a 47-minute podcast episode. I'm your host, Gwen, and today I'm joined by Jan for a fun edition of Bookish This or That. I'm sure you've seen this on Instagram, and it's basically going to be that, but on a much larger scale. Here's a reminder to make sure you're following Talk Bookish to Me on Instagram at Talk Bookish Podcast. It's the best place to stay up to date on new information. If behind the scenes and bonus content is more your jam, level up your membership and join Patreon. Become a night owl for just $5 a month. Become one of my valued patrons and gain access to monthly bonus episodes, behind the scenes content, access to our Discord channel, exclusive reading vlogs, milestone pins, voting power, and more.
Hi, I'm Jan. My YouTube channel is 𝒎𝒂𝒃, and so is my Instagram. It's also just at 𝒎𝒂𝒃. I read a bunch of different genres. I'm a huge mood reader, and I've been posting on Instagram every single day since 2014. Haven't missed a single day.
It's crazy.
So pretty proud of that.
It comes out on February 21st at 6 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, but that was a lot of fun. I paid bills. Oh, I edited the podcast. I scheduled the podcast. I paid bills. I don't know, I relaxed a little bit, and now I'm just trying to make my way through this. I am currently on page 216 of 311. Yes, 311 pages. So I should finish it up fairly soon. So I find that this is horribly mismarketed as a Daisy Jones and the Six, Almost Famous, like, mix, but it's not. It's just set in the 1970s in Baltimore, Maryland. It's a coming of age story about this 14-year-old girl named Mary Jane, and she took on this summer nannying job for this new family, and they have a very different lifestyle than her family does. Her family is very like straight-laced, and her mom's always like cooking, and her dad goes to work and then comes home and reads the paper, and then, you know, all of that. Whereas the family that she's nannying for is very like liberal, hippie. They do drugs, they drink. The dad is a therapist, and I'm not sure what the mom does. But also for the summer, they are a movie star and a rock star have moved into their house for the summer. And of course, Mary Jane is around all of that. And even the doctor like pulls her aside like, hey, I'm gonna have one of my patients move in for the summer. He's really famous. You can't tell anybody and stuff like that. And Mary Jane, she really starts spending a lot of time around this family. And she kind of feels more accepted than maybe, and more love than she does with her own family. Okay, friends, I finished Mary Jane, and I'm really conflicted about how I feel about it, because on one hand, there's so much unanswered racism and bigotry from Mary Jane's family that it just pisses me off. But at the same time, there is a little bit of closure at the end, and I can't say that I hate everything that Mary Jane experienced on this summer job. There was a lot of things that she and no child, especially one that's not your child, should be exposed to. But also, like, just that feeling of belonging and knowing that there's different things out there than what you're used to. Like, your family is not the only way that things have to be. That was a very important message, and I feel like the ending was satisfying in a way. Of course, I'm trying to keep this as vague as possible without spoilers. I want to give it a 4 stars, but realistically, it's probably 3 stars. Definitely not 5 stars, and totally mismarketed. But I enjoyed it. I really did. Man. Filled with humor and sharpness and so much light, this book introduces an amazing cast of characters, all so unique and finely observed, held together by the clarity of Mary Jane's voice. It invokes those rare moments when your world is on the precipice of change, almost a dream, and how thrilling it is to push your way towards something new. That's the thing. I really did like the characters in here. I felt that they all had a really good voice, from Mary Jane and her parents to Izzy and her parents, and then of course Jimmy and Sheba. They're all like such rich, deep, flawed characters, and it was just so nice to feel the connection and the bond that Mary Jane had with Izzy and Jimmy and Sheba, and it kind of breaks my heart how it all ended a little bit. I could probably get really emotional about it if I thought about it too much. So I think I'm actually going to give it 4 stars. I'm getting emotional thinking about it. So I'm going to give this one 4 stars. But just know that a lot of crazy, messed up, bad things happen in here. And it's definitely adult, even though there is a 14-year-old as a main character. But it deals with drug addiction, sex addiction, free love, open marriages, I don't know, just it's a coming of age story. The best and the worst of the 1970s. Mary Jane is a timeless coming of age story about finding yourself, all wrapped up with lots of humor, a dash of teenage rebellion, and plenty of rock and roll. I loved how they would sing together and how, I don't know, she just felt so accepted in this family. And even though she was doing things that she shouldn't have to do at 14 years old, like, she liked doing them, you know? And it's like, damn, man. All right, I am going to wrap up this reading vlog. It was not everything that I set out for it to be, but I did read 2 books in this vlog. I DNF'd one, and I'm putting the Songbook of Benny Lament on the back burner for now, just because I have some other audiobooks checked out from my library, and this one's I do not have checked out. I don't know if I'm going to be able to find the audiobook, and it is a 15-hour audiobook, so it's going to take me a while to read it, and I'm not in the mood for it right now, and I don't want that to be like tainted, my rating and my enjoyment to be tainted just because I'm not in the mood for it. I may come back to it this month, it may be next month, who knows, but it's going back on my shelf for now. Well, actually it's not. I'm gonna leave it out to see if I do get to it this month, and then if not, hopefully I'll find another month to squeeze it in there. But I started the reading vlog off with reading Heard It in a Love Song by Tracy Garvis Graves, and I rated the story 3 out of 5 stars. Then I tried the final revival of Opal and Nev by Donnie Walton, and I DNF'd this on page 90. And I was talking to Jan today on my podcast, and she also DNF'd that book, so really don't feel bad. And then finally, I finished up with Mary Jane by Jessica Anya Blau, and I rated the story 4 out of 5 stars. I will link my written reviews for these down below, so you can check out those if you are interested. Let me know if you read this and what you thought. It just wasn't for me. The writing wasn't and the characters weren't, and this is going to be going back on my TBR like I said. So that's all for today's video. Thank you for watching. Thank you for being here. I hope you enjoyed. I hope you're having a lovely day or night, and I'll see you guys again in another video very soon. Bye guys.